All right, welcome to another edition of the Indie Investor Speakeasy. Today we got Gary Brackett here. For anybody who doesn't know, Gary Brackett in the Indianapolis area, you're kind of living under a rock probably. So, all-pro linebacker, Super Bowl winning linebacker for the Indianapolis Colts, and has had an incredible story throughout his life and career afterwards as well. So yeah, we're going to kind of pick his brain about everything business-wise, real estate-wise, and we'll let you start off and just give us a little bit of a background of everything that...
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Obviously, nothing better than sipping some bourbon with the homies, right? Yeah. Talking shop, so definitely glad to be here. So grew up in a small town, a big family, had five of us growing up, two-family household. So I was the fourth of the boys. So it was like I had three older brothers, one younger sister. Played a bunch of sports, but eventually I figured out in football that you could hit people and not get in trouble. So that's like,
You're like, I like that.
As that rambunctious boy, just like, you're perfect.
Yep.
So was able to do pretty well in high school. Wasn't heavily recruited. Went to Rutgers, got a walk-on opportunity.
From Jersey originally.
From
right?
Jersey, yeah. So Rutgers, it's kind of like the state school.
Yeah.
It's funny because in New Jersey, everyone looks at Rutgers. They going to Rutgers, like everyone wants to go out of state.
Yeah.
And then here in Indiana, it's like everyone goes to like. So you meet someone in Indiana, it's like, where'd you go? Like Purdue? IU?
Yeah.
Like no, I went to Wabash. I'm like, so it's just like so. But the schools are prestigious. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at the college tuition, it makes a lot of sense why people stay home.
Yeah.
But was able to do well, earned a scholarship, did pretty good. Ended up being a captain and an MVP of my college football team. Got an opportunity to be a walk-on, essentially a free agent in the NFL with the Indianapolis Colts, 2003. Mm-hmm. Made the team, special teams, was kind of gutting it out. Then became captain and also middle linebacker, starter. Obviously, then the rest is history. A 9-year NFL career. Won a Super Bowl championship. So great times.
Broke his hand in the Super Bowl.
Broke his hand in the Super Bowl. Yeah. Had the most solo tackles of any player of any Super Bowl history. That's a legit stat.
I did not know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt. But real estate is something that I've always been interested in. A funny story, I remember being, this is like 2000, 1999, but being, up late watching Robert Kiyosaki, infomercials, right? Rich Dad, Poor Dad, about real estate. So I didn't have the money at the time, but, they had the whole 30-day money-back guarantee. So I ordered the program, went to the library, copied it all, sent it all back. I couldn't afford the $99.
That's a hustle right there.
That's a hustle. But, man, learned about real estate. And it just really changed my life in terms of, like, framing stuff in terms of, like, so something's too much, I can't afford it, to, like, how can I afford it?
Yeah.
And just looking at real estate as a vehicle. So my first year in the NFL, you had an opportunity as a first-year player to either opt into 401k or not. And the NFL is a really dope program because if you opt in, the team doubles your 401k, but not to your second season. So you put in 15, they put in 30 and match it, right? Mm-hmm. So your 401ks are pretty strong. So the first year, instead of a 401k, I brought a rental property, and I brought like a duplex back home in New Jersey. Yeah. I was invested with my cousin, and brought it for like $200, put 30 into it. We had a rental for like a year or two, but ended up selling it for like $300,000.
Yeah.
So it was just like, there's something to this.
So,
it
works.
That was easy.
And
right? So
you didn't have to get hit for that one.
At all. So it kind of started me on my real estate journey. Didn't really love the rental side of it, right? Yeah. And dealing with the tenants. But definitely the flipping side, the understanding, the aspect of looking at deals. So real estate is something that I've always been passionate about. 2011, when I retired, I got really involved in real estate. I went to the tax sale, which was dangerous back then, right? You buy a home for $5,000, $10,000. Yeah. So I remember I bought like 7 homes, like 4 duplexes, and started renovating those. Great cash flow. So I bought a home for 10, put 20 into it. So $30,000 into all day, and it was written for $500 aside. So $1,000 cash flow, $30,000 investment. So do the math on that, right?
Yeah.
So strong return. So I've always been passionate about real estate. I pivoted, got into the restaurant business, which probably second, thinking back on it, right? Should have, but that was a really good investment at first. Fortunately, during COVID, obviously had to eat a lot of crow, had to shut my stores down. But now, just recently, getting back into real estate heavily. I'm a realtor, have been a realtor ever since I started purchasing homes back in 2011 and seeing how much the realtors were making off the homes and sitting outside of homes, right? And not being able to get in. It's just like, I got to change this paradigm. I got to be able to just see a home and get into it and quickly identify. So became a realtor. So now an agent, also an investor, and also, working with some investors, finding some properties. So understanding the game, the numbers. So it's been fun. It's been a good journey.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you don't know, Gary used to own the Stack Pickle. So there's, one of the best sports bar chains in Indiana, and unfortunately COVID killed a lot of those businesses. So not really much you really could do there, honestly.
So when you say you're getting back into the real estate business today, what are you looking to do? Obviously the W-2 side of it in the acting as an agent, but what else are you doing right now?
Yeah, so last year I just found what interest rates and being in the north side of Indianapolis market, Carmel, so many people are kind of got those 2% and 3% type loans, so they're not looking to move. So I got presented last year with some opportunities to get involved in some investor properties, and it really got me excited. Like finding people that are in situations where they gotta move from their house, or they're gonna lose it, or it just tired landlords where they're tired of dealing with a tenant, they're not getting paid on the house, just ready to retire. So I found a lot of success in that. So I think that kind of I'm passionate about helping people and providing solutions for people. Also on the flipping side, also started. I just purchased a property, a townhouse, which I'm flipping as well. So nice. I think get my hands dirty with the investor side of things, move some residential, also getting some properties, rehabbing them, putting them back on the market. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. Eventually, I think everyone's long game is like commercial, right? It's just like you would much rather work on one $5 million, $10 million deal than a bunch of little. Not little, 300, 500,000, but I think the end game is definitely commercial. But now just residential, buying whole flips, working with investors, things like that.
Nice.
I always wondered, just because you're in the NFL and obviously knew a lot of people, still do. Do you ever is there like a player network of people who invest in real estate? Like, do you try to help out with that or bring opportunities to current or former players and try to get them in the game?
Yeah, a bunch of players are investing in real estate right now and flipping homes and doing different type of things. So when I left Stack Pickle, and at the point when I left, we had essentially 10 stores that I owned. I assigned 7 franchisees. So I went through all the process to get the franchise. So I understood the systems, how to build a business out. Then I actually got certified to be an EOS implementer. So if you ever read the book Traction, it's like how to set your business up with your core functions and everything. So I was a business coach for like a year or two. And being a business coach was exciting, but they were paying me enough to tell them how to operate their business, but not enough to jump in and do it myself.
Gotcha.
And because a lot of times people were too busy, unwilling, or unable to execute, for me, that wasn't very fulfilling.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get back into actually I can actually run a business. I could be a player coach. So that's why I really got back into real estate. And now dealing with the NFL players, I want to get some years under my belt of success, have some systems in place to really, I've always been of the mindset that I want to create pull and not push.
Yeah. I agree with that.
So be so successful that people are looking at you saying like, yo, what are you doing? I'm going to learn.
How can I get a part of that? Yeah.
As opposed to me saying, hey, you want to learn about real estate?
Right.
Because then those people aren't really serious. They don't execute on it. So it's just like real estate is so beautiful as a model because you could make a lot of money, right? In a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
As a realtor, as an investor, as a wholesaler. So there's a bunch of different things, right? That we all do these things that you could do. So for me, real estate was a thing where I could be a player and a coach. I can run my business, I can operate, and then I can also educate people on how to do it. So that's where I'm kind of in now, like because it changes a lot as well. So what was working 5-10 years ago necessarily isn't working right now.
Yeah.
So I think you have to be a player and involved in the game to really understand and educate people on like,
Right.
yo, what's going to work today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, out of curiosity, who are the investors you're working with? Like, how are you finding them? How are you drawing that, that pull network to you?
Yeah. So a lot of times investors that are looking to sell their homes are wanting to sell their homes but are so skeptical, right? We talked about it a little bit earlier. The whole off-market, deals, there's so many people out there, and there are people from
Too many darn wholesalers.
yeah, and a lot of people are like, they're not even,
You're absolutely right.
but they're not even in the state of Indiana,
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
They're like overseas.
Yeah.
And this one woman that I work with, she was talking to 4 or 5 different people that she had no idea what was going on with our contract. These people had no idea. They never stepped foot in Indiana before.
Yeah.
I probably know who you're talking about.
Right,
We
you know
deal
what
with her quite a bit.
Yeah. So for this one individual, I was credible. I was here. I could talk to her. So that's how I found one of them. Another one, I have a lot of connections with Stack Pickle. I had 400 employees at one point.
400.
So a lot of my employees, their family members are in situations and they need some help. They reach out to me, hey, you doing this now? My uncle's in a situation. So
I
a
didn't
lot
think
of
about
things
that.
just comes from my network of just people that I know, just shoot me stuff, information. I'm like, yeah, shoot me the numbers. Like I see if I can help them out in a situation. So a lot of my stuff is coming from there. Online, I have an online presence. I've always been building a brand online. So now pivoting. And it's all about online, I think, positioning, like how you position yourself to really maximize it. So right now, I'm really fine-tuning that, figuring out, like, all right, how do I want to position this brand? Because of the one side that is frowned upon, right? Because when you say, I buy homes for cash, like, oh, you're going to be pennies on my body, you're not going to give me nothing.
Yeah.
That's what the world sees. But they don't see our side where it's just like, this woman was about to lose her house.
Yeah.
I was able to salvage it, get it sold, put money in her pocket, and then, she walked away with dignity.
Hopefully get her out of a situation that she wouldn't have been able to get out of.
Yeah. So they don't see the providing solution side. So now just for me, just a position online. How do I do it in a way to show that I'm actually helping people as opposed to like taking advantage of them? Never saw their house before.
Yeah.
Running an AI bot, telling them what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All the things. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I think that's smart. We were talking beforehand, like a lot of realtors, they just hear wholesaler or they hear like off-market property, and all of a sudden, like all their sensors go up, and they just can't figure out.
They think you're robbing
They
people.
think, they think you're screwing people. They think, how do I make money on this? This isn't ethical, blah, blah, blah. And little do they know, like Randy's a realtor, I'm a realtor, Gary's a realtor. By trade, we have to look out for the best interest. And we always let people know, like, hey, if you want to sell this, like here's what we think it's worth, but here's like our offer on it, because they have to know that we're trying to make money on the property as well.
It's a convenience factor for them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
It's not about highest and best in that particular situation.
Yeah.
It's
It's about
convenience
other
and speed.
factors.
or quickness
Yeah.
or whatever, or speed, whatever it is. But I mean, it's just about doing it the right way,
Yeah.
which is a problem amongst wholesalers in general. But once you have your license, I feel like you kind of have a little bit more. You have to do it ethically. Not that, I mean, none of us would do it unethically to begin with, but it's just like you have to disclose that you're a realtor. Disclose, as Randy likes to say. Like, we put it on everything. We let them know up front. And we let them know, like, hey, like, we have a property that we're looking to buy right now, and we'll probably go to them and say, hey, your property is probably worth $325, $320, but here's our offer at $270, $275, and here's why.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just an explanation. So, as long as you're upfront and honest about it, you won't get in any trouble in terms of
Well, and I
with
think
being a realtor. So.
Yeah, I think the other side of it, I think that you're absolutely right. But the other reason why most realtors are probably threatened by wholesalers is that wholesalers are a threat to their monopoly that exists out there. And let's be honest about it. Most agents probably don't earn their 3% that they're making on most transactions.
Right.
And so
As much as they want to put on social media, like the reasons why, like we all know as realtors,
Yeah.
and we've gone through it.
yeah, to be clear, like I do think a lot of realtors do earn that. I think a lot of realtors hustle their
absolutely.
butt off. But there are a lot of transactions that would have occurred kind of
Anyway,
regardless of the hustle factor.
But I think I guess because there's a big change coming, right? If the law that passes where
The NAR thing?
the NAR, you can only pay, the seller's not going to pay buyers commissions
Yeah.
and all that stuff. But there's so many deals that don't happen. And there's so many times that you work as a realtor and don't get paid.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I think for the
months.
time
For
that,
months.
you know what I'm saying, you get a property and it sells the next day, it kind of makes up for
Yeah.
some of those situations. So it's
Agreed.
a lot of things that go on.
Totally.
I just believe in just like opportunities and exit strategies. And in some situations, it's just like, yo, if you think your property can get listed and sold on the open market and pass inspections and be clean, and you have 30, 45, 60 days to wait on this opportunity, then yeah, let's list it. I mean, I have no problem with that.
yeah. That's
But if
that's one of the options we give people too.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, if our cash offer doesn't sound and you have that option, we can list it too.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
do it.
not a problem. But if you want to close in 10, 14 days,
It's going to be an off-market deal.
yeah. You don't want to deal with the headache of inspections and appraisals and everything else, then
Yeah.
here goes some cash.
I mean, it's either going to cost you money or it's going to cost you time, right?
Yeah.
Or
And
it's going to
headache.
cost you effort
Yeah.
and headache. So
and for that, there's opportunity cost that has to be realized.
exactly.
Right? There's a cost of doing business where if I'm going to buy the house, put money into it, rehab it, fix it, put each sign in the yard, wait till it gets sold, could be 90 days, 120 days later, there has to be a spread on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's hard to explain to people too, like just from the off market side, especially the people who want market value. And it's like, okay, well, now I feel like you're taking advantage of me. Why do you think I would come? I'm not, you know what I'm doing here. I've explained to you our business model and you think I should buy this at market value and lose money? I mean,
I found that when you actually break it down and, like you said, like
You have to,
paint the picture of what you're going to do to the property and how long it's going to take you, then they're finally willing to negotiate a little bit on their price and come
Right.
down to usually a win-win situation. So
then you look human a little bit.
yeah, it's not good just to throw out a number and not explain why you're offering that number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. That part. But I think the problem with the business is that some people don't explain
Yeah.
A lot.
the reason behind the number.
Yeah.
Right?
And then people get offended.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you're actually taking properties down and doing rehab and construction, you understand, like, hey, this is what I can see
Yeah.
what it's going to cost.
Yeah. What's behind that wall?
I just had to rip up a bathroom floor that wasn't in the budget because, you know what I'm saying, we almost fell through and we demoed it.
Oh, God.
My favorite recent issue that we've had with a construction project, we weren't budgeting $1 for electrical on this project. We're like, all right, the electrical looks good. We get into the wall. There are extension cords in the wall.
Oh,
We were not prepared for that one.
yeah.
Well, I'm curious from your side. Obviously, we're talking a lot about real estate and how that all ties together. You have a lot of experience on the business side that might relate here to the stuff we're doing within the real estate businesses. Obviously, we learn the most when we go through trials and tribulations.
Right.
I'm curious, obviously the COVID was a really painful time for a lot of people. Were there any lessons you learned within your business with kind of the way things went down that we might be able to use within our own businesses to create more resilience moving forward to change?
Yeah, I think one of the things in business, I think, is when you look at performers, when you look at numbers, you only see the positive side.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a lot of times we don't do a good enough job of looking at potential downside and risk. So it's like on the risk side, there's things that you can do with your income, with your net worth that kind of protects you, right? So you can have trust where, I mean, the very wealthy, rich people, right? It was like you own everything and you own nothing and control everything. So I think like having like your business side of things tightened up where your LLCs only own this and your credit cards are only purchased through these LLCs and your trusts are set up where your personal income and other things that doesn't have to do with the business can never get tied back into that business. So that'd be the first thing, like financially, just making sure that your house is in order in terms of your trust, right? All the language and property. And then the second thing, I would say, like a lot of times you leverage banks and you leverage money, which you should. It's smart to do. But no one told me that like you got to play the game. When you're going for a loan, you only need to show what they need to see to give you that loan.
Yeah.
Right? Because whatever you show is what they're going to want to like pledge as assets. And everyone always says, don't use your own money, never sign personal recourse. But in the beginning, when you're building a business, that's not a thing.
It's just a part of the, yeah.
You're going to have to sign some type of guarantee.
Yeah.
But the guarantee, you can move around and do some things on the back end with your trust and what you have set up to only show what you need to show in order to kind of protect yourself. So I think
a lot of people overshare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And a lot of people, and I had a trust, but I didn't have the proper titling of everything inside that trust when I was doing business to protect me. And I think that's a big thing, is protecting your downside as you're building your upside. Because so many times you just lose so much focus on building your upside that the downside, you don't think about that.
That's a good point.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, CYA, like, you know what I'm saying? You gotta cover yourself.
Yeah.
And situation, because here's the thing, like, it was totally unforeseeable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
no one who could call COVID a disease, a cough that could lead into like
The world shutting down
like
for
millions
2
of people
years.
dying, and like, I mean, it's like crazy. But it's just like, you know, it's thinking of the mindset as an owner. I listen to Tony Robbins a lot, right? And he's like, as a business owner, you have to think about the business you're in and the business you're going to be in. And as a CEO, you have to have that vision. You can't necessarily share the business you're going to be in with your team, because they get sidetracked and lost, and there are the projections of, right? It's too much information. It's too much. It's oversharing. But for you as an owner, you always got to think of like, all right, what's happening today that could affect my business the next 2 or 3 years? And how could I already be thinking about, all right, how we're going to pivot, change, adjust when those things start to happen?
But also, how the hell were you supposed to? How the hell were you supposed to
Yeah, COVID.
balance the bottom line for COVID? Something
Yeah.
that's never happened before. Now we have a new bar. Like,
Yeah, so COVID, the only business I could have been in was more of the protection of asset sides and labeling of assets.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? That's the thing that you should. Oh, well, if you did it this way and taught it this way, right? And it's just like, there's people that have answers to the questions that you have. You just have to find the right people.
And know what questions to ask.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I had this blind faith in my financial team. So I have financial advisors that have money, assets, and I had money in places that I couldn't pull from. So it was like you're brick rich and cash poor.
yeah,
And then when you uncover what's going on, like, no, the financial advisors, they actually have a fiduciary responsibility that they can't really offer you advice in your personal dealings. So then it's just like, all right, what you're doing from a financial side of things and where your money is allocated, is that in alignment with what your goals and dreams is? Or is it more in alignment of what your financial advisor is doing and the money and the kickbacks they're getting from the vehicles that they're putting you in?
yeah. Yeah, I remember Pat McAfee talking about this too at one point, saying like all the financial advisors, like you need to vet your financial advisors as well to make sure that they're aligned.
100%.
They're aligned with what you're aligned with as well, because I think he said at one point like there's a lot of financial advisors that were looking to take advantage of a lot of NFL players.
Yeah, so here's the thing, right?
Maybe not on purpose, but they did.
No, so this is what they do, right? If you have a net worth, substantial net worth, 5 million, 10 million, they say, all right, let's put 80% away, long-term future, and let you play with 20%. But if the 20% has the 80, like pledged the 80%, like your whole portfolio is pledged. So you gotta be able to play with your whole 80 portfolio. What always hamstrung me was that because I let money be pledged, that I couldn't be touched, that I couldn't use it to build my business. So now you're almost playing, right? If I'm playing a game, basketball, for instance, you're playing and my whole left arm is cut off because I have it.
You can't use it.
But I can't use it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like
And it's
that,
being
or
used
like
against
you
you.
can use it, but you're only getting half your arm back.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Because you're getting taxed on half.
So
once
if
pull
you're
it.
an entrepreneur and a business owner, you just have to have access to all your resources. Not to say use all your resources, but have access to your resources because businesses are they're seasonal.
Yeah.
And you gotta have the ability, depending on the season, to like LeBron. I'm a full on LeBron James fan, and I think there's games in the NFL that he can say in the NBA that he can say you know what, I'm gonna exert the energy that's required to win this game.
Sure.
And some games he's just like, yo, it's not worth me digging that deep into my bag to win this game, so I'm just not gonna do it.
Yeah, we got 82 games.
But he has the ability to kind of make that decision.
Yeah.
And he has a skill set to say yo, I could pull from.
He could turn it on, yeah.
Yeah.
But then it's just like when you don't have access to all your capital, it's like I can turn on, but I don't have access, so I can't.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna have to lose because someone stripped away my ability to access the rest of my. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why I think you just got to be smart about what you're actually playing is and what you're playing for, right? Because the biggest play there is financially is to build cash flow enough. You're wealthy when the cash flow that you have coming in oversees your expenses. Then in that situation, you can never go broke. I'm making enough monthly that's going to cover everything, and this can go on for forever. So under this formula, there's no way I should ever be able to go broke.
Yeah.
So I think that's the perfect formula. Is just looking at it as cash flow and using your resources, wisely. That could kind of cover you in those situations.
Love it.
Yeah.
You guys are next.
Oh.
No, I just like hearing about just kind of all that stuff that you learned and really your come up after football. So what's your future plans? Kind of getting back into the real estate. I know you're doing your own investing and helping people buy as well. Doing some wholesale deals here and there, but what's your next step? What are you working towards with your
I
real
think
estate business?
just looking at commercial opportunities, looking at how it scales. But I think ultimately I'm gonna get into because my full time job, if you will, and it has been since I retired at 11, is public speaking. So I'll do 20 or 30 keynotes a year.
Is it business related or anything or
More like team building,
okay,
motivation, inspiration, that sort of thing, right?
Okay.
So 20, 30 keynotes is a lot, right?
Yeah.
So off the keynotes, there's just a natural strategic alliance with coaching, with selling books.
yeah,
So eventually getting back into coaching, into the digital space, by having it niche down into a process and a program where it's a little bit of done with you, done for you, right? And coaching. So then it's just I can have a system that's been created that I can give someone access to that they could utilize to also win. So that's what I'm kind of building now and flushing out that system so I could give someone access to a system. Because before, when I was just business coaching, I had someone that was doing concretes and plumbing, and I had someone doing home health care, had a gym, had lawyers, I had different type of people in different type of industries, where it's really hard to build a solution for all those different industries. So I think niching down into real estate, now I can really uncover all right, this is what you need. These are their scripts, these are their processes, these are their systems, these are their plays that can actually do it. Because obviously speaking and doing it one to many, I mean, that's the ultimate, I think, end goal for me, just because of how much it scales.
yeah,
Right? Because a digital product, you could create it one time and get paid for it forever.
yeah,
Yeah.
And it's something that, I mean, they're listening, they're recording and everything
And
else.
then you can make one update, and then it's like 2.0.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's my end game, is definitely doing that. And then looking at the technology, real estate aspect, and then figuring out like, yo, how can you build like a really big business and like provide solutions for people in a major way.
Are you like, because you're with EXP, right? Mm-hmm. Are you trying to hone in on like the building your
team recruiting?
Yeah, they're not.
So here's the thing. EXP, their big thing, they love entrepreneurial agents that you can come in, do your thing. They'll leave you alone as long as you fill out the checklist and everything.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a beautiful model. But the real model is like the rev share component, building your team out and everything like that. It gets really crazy lucrative. Yeah. The challenge that I have with it is just like, I think there's for me, a responsibility if I was going to have someone join me.
Yeah. You'd have to really train them up and teach them.
And provide them with resources that ensure they can be successful.
Yeah.
And at the point where I'm at now, I just want to slow down and teach someone to train someone.
Yeah.
And the amount of money that I'm going to make for you, it doesn't make sense for me. The opportunity cost.
Yeah.
It sounds like you need to create a training program for them.
But even with the training program, they still want more of me to have access to me, to be able to call me. And it's just like, in real estate, there's a bunch of problems.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to deal with my problems, let alone like 10, 20, 30, 50 other realtors' problems, you know what I'm saying, behind me. So that doesn't really, I don't know. Maybe I'll do it. If I could find a really good, like in the book traction, COO, integrator that can do what I do and has the patience for it. Like, I'm a visionary.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have the vision. I can aspire. I can motivate. But then tomorrow, I have something else going on. And I'm not going to be still sitting there. If you're stuck, I'm not the person that could constantly.
Right.
You don't have time for all of. Like, there's only so much of you to go around.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, that's not my skill set. So I just want to operate in my unique genius. Yeah. Right. And then hire and find the right people that can, like, I can offset to kind of help me do that. If I had the personnel and the people, then yeah, absolutely. I could see a lucrative path doing it that way. But that's not why I got into with EXP and everything else. But the model is beautiful that you can do that.
I remember when I had my license with EXP, and I'm like, there's something here where they want you to build, and just, I mean, I guess just brainstorming off what you said, like, it'd be nice to have like a, I don't know, say like have a Nick under you, where, not Nick obviously, but like have somebody under you that's like, you have trained them to be, they're the best person that you have in your training program or whatever you want to do. And now they have pretty much all the answers, so it's not going to get to you.
Right.
And you can have them run everything underneath of them. And then only like there's always weird stuff that's coming through real estate. So only the stuff that they just don't know, there's only so much stuff that you can prepare for in real estate sometimes that is going to get to you.
I mean, any other like sales training or anything I've ever bought was like, there was like the face, right, of like the person. Yeah. But when you actually buy the product, the person running the course is never them. It's someone else. And it's like their number two. So I mean, that's what you should do. Yeah. That's what you need.
Yeah, no, for sure. And trust me, I've looked for it, but it's like, you know, that's
you definitely gotta take your time finding the right person. But
here's the thing. With me in regards to business, I've learned, and having had a lot of money, having to like kind of restructure after like COVID, shutting down my restaurants, taking on a chin, filing bankruptcy, doing all these things. My life and my purpose is more driven by like my purpose and my passions versus financial. Mm-hmm. Like financially, like if I wanted to make the most amount of money, like I wouldn't coach my kid in football, right? I wouldn't train them. I wouldn't be home. Like there's some things that I do that I would travel more and I would live a crazy lifestyle. But when I did that, like I wasn't fulfilled. So for me now, it's just like, yo, the rest of my life, I want to spend it like doing things that I enjoy, that fulfills me, that makes me happy. Yeah. Right. And there's a amount of money you need to be happy, but not over that. Just like, what, I need another car, another house, more boats, more clothes. Like, so at some point it is what it is. And now it's just like, all right, what are things I want to, my children, my biggest thing for them is just like, yo, it's not about what I leave for them. It's about what I leave in them.
Mm-hmm. That's such a great
I think that's the best
right
line
there.
of the
That's
day.
that's a line of the day right there. Right.
That's
That's awesome.
And for me, being there for them when they come home from school and they had a rough day, or being at one of our games or our practices where a situation happened and I kind of help, just kind of talk to them. And I think that's so much more important to me than just like chasing a check or chasing money.
Yeah. You probably feel, and this might be me projecting this on you, you probably feel more content now than you did when you had all this money. You know?
My God.
You know what I mean? Like, you probably feel more fulfilled and happy now with how you're affecting people,
Yeah.
And you figured that out.
And just like, I think we all are taught these things as a kid and about what like mountains to climb. And then when you had the opportunity to climb the mountain, when you got on top and you like looked out, you realized like, yo, this isn't what I thought this was supposed to be. Like, this doesn't give me the happiness that I thought that should be here, that I've been working my tail off to do. And unfortunately, most people are willing to climb back down the mountain and then go climb up another one that they like the view better at. They would much rather be miserable at this, perception mountain where everyone thinks like, oh my God, look at them at the top of there. And they're miserable there, but they don't want to come down.
Well, they don't want to look like they failed.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, you're dropping some gems right now.
Yeah.
So some of these little one-liners.
Yeah. So for me, it's just like going down the mountain. All right, cool. Understanding like at the end of the day, no one really cared the mountain that I was on anyway, right? And if
You weren't happy.
Yeah. So now reverting, going back. Oh my God, it's a smaller mountain, but God, the view is amazing.
Yeah.
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 It's the
like,
right mountain.
Yeah. So it's just like, it was like understanding that and being there, just like, yo, this is. I don't really let public perception of what people think you should do or all those things. That doesn't really enter into my judgment anymore. It's just like, yo,
That's awesome.
That's huge too, especially like someone that has,
yeah.
that knows you very well, and a lot of people want that image that they're always successful, where deep down they hate their life.
Yeah,
you don't want to be you want to be that guy.
That home is a prison.
Yeah,
right. And it's just like, yo, it's just like. I think a rich guy was like, yo, you know what success is? Success is being 50 and 60 and your kids come home for Christmas and want to visit you.
Hell yeah.
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 Absolutely.
But I can assure you.
As us all being dads here, that's...
Yeah, people that are chasing and doing things, they're going to be 50 and 60 and their kids will be like, oh, I'm staying here for Christmas. Or I'm going to go over to this person's house. Like, I would be crushed.
I'm going to go to my friend's house for Christmas.
Man, I would be so depressed.
Right? I mean, it'd be miserable. So for me, it's just like, taking care of things and understanding like what truly matters, right? And then everything else is like a bonus for me. Yeah. Knowing like how to navigate, how to move, turn on if I have to, but just being present. I think another one-liner. This is a good one, and this is from Coach Caldwell. And he talked about this, and this like can apply in so many different ways. But he was like, "Yo, your best ability is your availability."
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
Love it.
Yeah,
and
love Jim Caldwell. I'm a Ravens guy. So
yeah. So often, as a guy, as a man, you get caught up in like chasing success and chasing the one more deal, one more opportunity. More money, more vacations.
It's going to make that big a difference.
Right? But your kid is like, are you going to make my game?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I gotta be out of town again.
Yeah, and to build on that, I think Nick and I, well, all of us probably, because you've been kind of working for yourself for a long time as well. The reason why we got out of our jobs is because we had kids on the way. Yeah. And we kind of saw the writing on the wall. It's like, all right, even if you're working remotely, you're working all the time.
Yeah.
Or
60, 70 hours a week.
Or I'm working at wherever I'm working at and 60, 70, 80 hours. It doesn't matter what it is, but if I can't make, I don't know. I remember growing up and my dad's number one thing to me was, he goes, I work really hard to make money for you to be successful so you don't have to miss your kid's stuff like I've missed your stuff, is what he said to me. And I never forgot that, and he'll probably never listen to this podcast because he doesn't know how to work technology. But I took that to heart, and probably like 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago now, I went full time, into real estate investing. And now I can be like, you know, if my kid is at daycare today and he gets sick or whatever, I can go pick him up.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, how cool is that?
I know.
Yeah.
And in 5 years from now, I'm not going to miss a game.
Yeah.
I'll just restructure my schedule, or I'll move a meeting, or I'll move whatever it is. I'll move our podcast with Gary to tomorrow,
Yeah.
you know, or whatever it is. So,
Yeah, no, and I can just, you know, reiterate that. Like, my kiddo was born almost 11 months ago. I've taken every Wednesday off since she's been born, and that's been daddy-daughter day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, does it get any better than that? So, yeah, controlling your destiny, controlling, you know, making sure that you're at the top of the right mountain.
Yeah.
You know, could I do more? Could I be achieving something different if I was willing to put the 60 to 70 hours? Probably. But would that be the mountain I would want to be on top of? Probably not.
and think about this with Nick. Nick was a Facebook employee.
Yeah.
I mean, not to toot your horn, but like,
Probably a really good job.
probably a really freaking good
Yeah.
job right there.
It's pretty
you know?
cushy.
Yeah, pretty nice. And he took the leap of faith and said, like, I've been doing this real estate investing thing for part-time for a while. Let me do this full-time. Let me whole ass this for a little while and take my Wednesdays off with my daughter. Or, you know what, if my daughter throws up on me, like the other night we had a meeting together, that he's like, I can't come, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, my daughter's sick. Hell yeah, man. This is what we did it for.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. No, I did buy that first round, though.
Yes.
So,
yeah, you did.
yeah.
It was crazy. So a couple weeks ago, we had All-Star in town. And
Yeah.
it was like for the last 2 years,
Yeah.
big, huge, right?
Yeah.
And my daughter had a tournament in Detroit. So I missed like the whole All-Star, everything. And, you know, people would call me, text me, miss opportunity, that's money. But it's just like, yo, I really had a good time seeing my daughter like participate. They won the championship.
Yeah.
And just to see the joy and the happiness that it provided her, I'm just like, yo, this is so much more enjoyable for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, and it's just like, again, it's just like, this is what you're an entrepreneur for. This is why you control your own schedule. And sometimes, you know, you do work 60, 80 hours a week, right? And
That's why you work 8 to midnight after they go to bed. Yeah.
Exactly. You do that, but understanding and putting the right things in perspective, I think is like super, uber important. And a lot of people, unfortunately, learn that too late.
Gotcha.
Yeah, 100%. Because I've got friends that, I had friends in town this week that are, I don't know. There's friends that you're around that you start to realize that that you don't sync with anymore as much, just because they're not thinking as big as you.
Yeah.
And like, even when you're trying to point out to them, like, hey, you have a really good opportunity here to do X, Y, and Z, and you've turned that down because you're afraid. I'm like, man, you got a couple kids, like, you could be doing, like, you're like, oh man, you seems like everything's going really well for you. Like, yeah, it is. Like, you should try. You don't know till you try. And like, what's the worst thing that can happen to you?
Yeah.
Man, Gary, you've got me going a little bit.
Yeah.
I definitely have an important question here
Yes.
that I'm sure, you know, all of our viewers are going to want to hear. But like, are there any particularly fun Colts, any particularly fun like Peyton stories that we should
Yeah,
know
let's get
about?
into some laid back.
Yeah.
What are you allowed to
Let's get
say?
into some laid back
right?
stuff.
So Peyton was
Or anybody really.
And-
Robert
and-
Matt.
and-
I would love to hear about
intense,
Robert.
right?
Robert Mathis. too.
Robert too. But it's just like how he was on Sundays was how he was throughout the week. And you know, you hear the stories like, was he a jerk? Was he this? But you gotta understand perspective is like sometimes fans, right? We love them to death, but you're in the restroom and they're next stall over want to shake your hand. I'm like, dude, this is gross. Like, leave me alone. Like,
This is not the place.
you know what I'm saying? Or it's just like they're staring at you all night when you're out there eat at a restaurant. Your food finally comes, and now they want to come. Like, bro, my food just is hot. It's warm.
Yeah.
It just got here. Like, so I think obviously sometimes people had those type of interactions, but he's a great dude. He's like a very high competitor. It's not really one funny story that we used to do. Like, we were captains for 6 years together. So we had this thing where when we walk out for home games, and there'll always be like elect the captain for the game. Like 4 steps before we got there, we would just look at, you know, clip session. We got Adam. Adam does the one in mental inventory. But like we'd be like, yo, what you gonna call it, heads or tails? Right? And they're not thinking of it, right? They're just hyped up, walking out
Yeah.
there going to like, I'm gonna call heads, I'm gonna call it. All right, cool. So like right before the guy, they're giving their instructions, it's on TV, like,
Yeah.
yo, go ahead.
Yeah.
They be like heads. But we're at home. you don't get to call the call.
Yeah.
Right? So they're confused as hell. We're just like laughing, chuckling,
awesome.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like no, I'm calling it. It's like, no,
we're not calling anything.
Yeah.
Also,
So it was like simple fun, but yeah. Other than that, man, we just competed like hell, and everyone in that era, man. You kind of took it for granted, but you look at now how many Hall of Famers we had. Like Dwight Greeney just got.
Dude, that team
nuts.
was
Reggie's gonna get it. Reggie
Reggie's
should
gonna get
Reggie
in.
should already be in.
Robert
but-
Mathers is probably going to get in. So
Yep.
yeah, it's just a great group of guys, man.
That's a
Edge
team
just
that I
got
feel
in.
like.
I'm not even a Colts guy,
yeah.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
man, those teams used to beat my Ravens every year, so, so I hated you guys for the longest time.
Yeah.
And everyone in Baltimore already hates the Colts if you don't know the history. But like my parents hate the Colts. I could give a shit less about the Colts, but my parents are
Oh
like,
yeah, my dad's
God
bitter
damn it.
as a kid that grew up in Baltimore when the Colts left. Like he still has never forgiven the Colts.
I remember Super Bowl season. I think we went there and we won. But when we played them before, like twice player, and it was obviously the whole Mayflower. They left in the middle of the night from Baltimore and came to
in the middle of a
Indianapolis.
blizzard. Yeah.
So it was all cool, right? So we go there, it's like second round of the playoffs, and it's on every TV screen, right? And they're just riling people up, right? So it was just crazy how much they played on that. But you know, they pull it out when they have to. But yeah, Baltimore was
You're still
a great
steaming
team.
over there.
No, I don't care. But I going to like some of these tailgates, man. Like the older
old
generation in Baltimore,
They're hurt.
They are fucking pissed. They did not let this go. Like to the point where Mr. Irsay does not stay in Baltimore anymore. He stays in D.C.
That's a
Like
smart
he
play.
cannot stay in Baltimore.
Yeah. Nah, that's funny. But yeah, it was some man. Just the games, right? I mean, just how close the games were, right? Just the whole rivalries with the Patriots, and so yeah, it was a great time in my life. You know, from 2003 to 2011, playing with the Colts. We're actually the most winningest team of any team in NFL of any generation
of a decade.
Yeah.
Really?
From 2010. So so we won
people
a
forget
lot
about
of freaking
that.
games. So
Yeah.
I mean, we were 14-2 multiple different years, 15-1.
Till you chose to lose.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I'm still shitty about that.
Yeah.
Them pulling us out in 09 against the Jets. But you know, it is what it is, right?
That wasn't Mark Sanchez, right?
It was.
Yeah, it was Mark Sanchez.
It was.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my boy.
I mean, they still. Yeah, I mean, that was the last regular season, if I remember correctly.
It was week 15. But the crazy part is week 16 was Buffalo.
They were resting you guys.
And we played in Buffalo, and I was always, this is like, I'm not a big science guy, but my mind, I thought that it couldn't be like below freezing and still snow. I thought like the precipitation or something would happen that the snow couldn't come. It was that cold.
Yeah.
I was proven wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong.
It's like I've never been.
I learned something that day.
It was below freezing and like 10 inches of snow on the field. It was the most miserable. And then I wasn't even playing.
Yeah.
So like, this is miserable.
So you're just cold.
guys.
You're just cold on the sideline.
But if we'd have won the Jets game and been 15-0, they'd have flexed that game. And instead of a 1 o'clock, it would have been at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And it would have been like even colder, even more miserable. So there is always a silver lining.
You got any good stories about my man Ray?
Ray Lewis, man. I remember 2005 was my first year starting. And our first game of the year was against Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. And this was like the high-powered Colts offense against the dominating, crushing Ravens defense.
Ed Reed, Suggs, and Ed Reed,
Deion
Suggs,
Sanders
and
played for them at that time.
Oh, that was his year? That was his year?
So typically, like on the call-outs, you know what I'm saying?
Deion was playing nickel, I think.
He was.
Yeah.
Only the 11 people on offense, 11 people on defense.
40 years old.
So on the Baltimore in this particular game, week 1, 2005, like 14 people would like get called out. Like Deion, nickel, I think Rod Woodson maybe played. It was just like all the specialists got called out, right? But then last was Ray Lewis. And again, this was like right around September 11th. It was like always the first preseason game. So he gets called out, bruh. And it's like a night game. They shut the lights off.
Dude, when fucking Ray comes out.
Bruh. And it's just like, so then
I've never gotten
they played
chills
like the
like that
national
before.
anthem, right? And he's freaking swinging a flag.
Oh gosh.
Right? So then after that, after he swings the flag, he gives like the Marines in line the biggest handshake and hug. Then after that, like a Roy Jones song come on, can't be moved, can't be. So then he starts dancing doing the squirrel. Like I had like a little tear in my eye watching him. Like, I was so hyped up watching him. But that was my first game starting. Well, second game, but officially first game. But that game was like a coming out game because it's just like, are the Colts defense, are they good enough to think?
Yeah.
So I had that game 10 tackles, 2 interceptions, and a half a sack.
Slacker.
Right?
Man.
So they was
Who
like,
was quarterback? Bowler?
No, was it Bowler? Yeah, it was Bowler.
Bowler.
It was Bowler.
God damn it.
So all of the announcers like, who the F? Who is their linebacker?
Who's
like,
this Gary Brackett guy?
We're supposed to
Who's
have
this
Ray Lewis.
undersized linebacker?
This dude is like flying around, and it was like me and Kato June was like undersized linebackers, but had a knack in the passing game.
Yeah.
And this is the first time it started transitioning when linebackers started getting interceptions. And it was just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, wait a minute, these dudes aren't just running into people anymore. Just like
they're looking for the
This
ball.
isn't just Ray Maluga running into the line.
yeah, it's just like, yo, this is. We used to call it. My coach would call it like, you're a big old like a Coke machine. Where you just big machine just running into somebody to get blocked. It's like, nah, bro, like go ahead and make a play. So.
Sit in the middle and run into people coming across.
Nah, it was dope. But Ray was always, man. I actually watched Ray Lewis highlights to get excited for my games.
Dude, you have no idea.
Yeah, so,
I still watch it. Like when the Ravens were in the AFC playoff or championship game this year, I'm like, man, I gotta watch some Ray. I gotta watch some Ray. Lewis highlights.
So one game, I'm just like, shit. Like he was kind of the standard, right? So I'm just like, yo, I want to be a better leader. I want to be Ray. I want to be that guy, right? And I was making plays, and I was being a leader. But I'm like, yo, this one game, I'm gonna just put it all out there. I'm just gonna like be screaming, yelling. Bruh, by the third quarter, I'm so exhausted. I'm just like, y'all can't do this. I can't scream, yell, and play and do my job and think.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I gotta play. I gotta be me.
Yeah.
Ray's like a preacher too, man.
Oh,
he's
my
like,
He's a unique
he's
human.
a unique character. That's for sure.
He's a dude. I had cigars with him a couple times. He's really good friends with Reggie Wayne.
Yeah.
He's good friends with Chuck Pagano, so he's been there a couple times.
Yeah.
So we just kind of shot the shit. So great dude though.
Yeah.
Great dude.
I've met him a couple times, and every time he's been super
really
legit.
cares about the NFL, the projection of the game. I think he's working on actually being part of a group that actually buys an NFL team.
Shit, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, he's working on that. So he's a good dude, man. But yeah, it's now like seeing like my peers get into the Hall of Fame and like become head coaches. It's just like, damn, it's like really cool, really neat to see.
Yeah, Jeff Saturday last year. I mean, everybody gave him a bunch of shit. And I'm like, man, he was thrown into a shitty situation.
Yeah, it was tough. I was just sitting around like, damn, where's my call? Like I could be the coordinator.
I'm right here.
Yeah, right?
Like, I'm coaching now, but it was great to see him. But hopefully next season our quarterback will be back healthy and we can get back into the playoffs, get back into the swing of things. Hopefully get another championship for the city.
Yeah, man. You guys got anything else for?
Really, just the important question of the day. If people want to get in touch with you and get to be a part of your investor network, what's the best way for people to do that?
Yeah. Now, I'm Gary Brackett on all my social media, so it's pretty simple to kind of find me on there. I respond, to a lot of the messages. It's so crazy because of like the different platforms that I have different phone numbers, so I always forget what phone number to get out, and which one actually rings to my phone or not.
Yeah.
But definitely social media is the best way to kind of get a hold of me.
Cool, man.
Well, thanks, Gary.
Yeah.
No
Appreciate
problem.
you.
Thanks for having me, man. This was good.
I'm hyped, dude.
Hopefully we'll have you again.
Yeah, let's do it.